Imagine diving into the chilling mysteries of the Overlook Hotel long before Jack Torrance's ill-fated winter turns it into a nightmare, a tantalizing prospect that's finally becoming reality, but not quite in the way fans might expect. For years, Warner Bros. Has been tossing around the idea of a prequel to Stephen King's iconic tale, The Shining, with dreams that never quite materialized. It all started with plans for a standalone feature film, penned by Glenn Mazzara, the brains behind The Walking Dead, and directed by Mark Romanek of 1 Hour Photo fame, only for budget hurdles to bring that vision crashing down. Undeterred, they pivoted to J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot team, crafting an HBO Max series simply titled Overlook, but that too fizzled out when neither HBO Max nor Netflix bit. So no Scream prequel has graced our televisions yet. But hold on to your axes. Here's where it gets exciting. Fight Club author Chuck Palahniuk has just spilled the beans that he's collaborating with a stellar lineup of writers to breathe life into multiple Overlook prequel stories in an anthology novel dubbed Views from the Overlook. Let's break down the details. This collection, masterminded by screenwriter Jamie Flanagan, showcases fresh narratives unfolding within the infamous Overlook Hotel, from Stephen King's The Shining, all set before the novel's central events. The contributors include literary heavyweights like Michael Bailey, Chelsea Cain, Johnny Compton, Mike Flanagan, yes, that Mike Flanagan, the horror maestro behind shows like The Haunting of Hill House, Christopher Golden, Justina Ireland, Ai Zhang, Alma Katsu, Brian Keene, Daniel Kraus, Sylvia Moreto Garcia, Chuck Palahniuk, and others. For those new to the concept, an anthology is like a curated collection of short stories by different authors, all tied together by a common theme, in this case, the haunted hotel's shadowy past. What truly amps up the thrill is that this project welcomes submissions from aspiring writers. Palahniuk shared the scoop via his Substack that the first 500 stories, each ranging from 3,000 to 5,000 words, submitted between now and February 1st, 2026, will be reviewed for potential inclusion. However, Jamie Flanagan notes that only one of these submissions might actually make it into the book. Talk about steep competition. And this is the part most people miss. To keep things authentic, stories must be set in the Overlook Hotel prior to the events of King's novel, specifically between 1910 and 1949. They need to stick closely to the established lore from the original book, plus King's later prologue before the play, to ensure that eerie, supernatural vibe remains intact. Fun fact, while we're keen on tales from that era, the anthology leans heavily into stories from 1950 to 1970, so the submission window is deliberately narrowed to maintain focus. But here's where it gets controversial. Is expanding on Stephen King's universe always a good idea? Some fans might argue it's a respectful nod to the master of horror, honoring the rich tapestry of the Overlook's history with fresh voices. Others could see it as risky territory, potentially diluting the original's timeless dread or introducing inconsistencies that clash with King's vision. What do you think? Does this anthology excite you, or would you prefer sticking strictly to King's words? And for the bold writers out there, are you bracing to submit your own spine-tingling tale? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear agreements, disagreements, or even wild counterpoints. Sponsored content. Does Views from the Overlook strike you as a must-read? Are you tempted to craft and submit a story of your own? Share your opinions by commenting right here. About the author, horror news editor, favorite movies, the entire Friday the 13th series, Kevin Smith flicks, George A. Romero's classics, especially the original Dead trilogy, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1-2, Flesh Eater, Intruder, Let the Right One In, Return of the Living Dead, The Evil Dead, Jaws, Tremors, From Dusk Till Dawn, Phantasm, Halloween, The Hills Have Eyes, the Back to the Future trilogy, Dazed and Confused, the James Bond franchise, Mission Impossible, the MCU, and much, much more. Likes, movies, horror, 80s slashers, podcasts, animals, traveling, Brazil, the country, the Cinema Wasteland Convention, classic rock, Led Zeppelin, Kevin Smith, George A. Romero, Quentin Tarantino, the Coen brothers, Richard Linklater, Paul Thomas Anderson, Stephen King, Elmore Leonard, James Bond, Tom Cruise, Marvel Comics, the Grindhouse Drive-In era.